Welcome back to the Prison Yard TV. As you can see by that thumbnail, we're going to talk about how the Crips in general align themselves with the Nortenos. I'm going to speak from a Sacramento perspective, and then I'm going to take you on a journey to how we broke away from the Nortenos while I was in prison on my last term, and I'll give you the reason why. So, growing up in South Sacramento, in the Gardens, we had a black gang back in the late 70s, 80s called the Dog Catchers. Then we had Oak Park, which was called the Funk Lords. And somewhere between the late 70s and early 80s, the Dog Catchers became Crips. Oak Park became Oak Park Bloods, because a guy from Pomona, two brothers came from Pomona, I'm not going to say their names, and moved to Oak Park and started Oak Park Bloods. And of course, we was always in competition with the broads, and we was at the skating rink in competition with Oak Park about their girls, and they was in competition with us about our girls over here in the Gardens. So it became a gang thing, early 80s. And our Nortenos from our neighborhood, the Gardones, we lived so close in proximity, and we went to school from grade school to middle school to high school with them, that we were naturally aligned with these cats. It was like our friends, our childhood friends. We just claimed two different gangs by the time we became teenagers. Then, of course, some of us from my neighborhood and the Northern Car went to CYA in the 80s. And we took that alliance friendship over to CYA. And I don't know what year exactly it was, but the alliance became C14, Crips 14. And that lasted a long time. I don't know if they're still doing it in YA, but that lasted a long time. It didn't even carry over into the prison system. So I kind of told the story. I don't think I put the video out yet, how I went to CYA as an M number. I think I was 19 and got kicked out of CYA for stabbing a Southsider at DeWitt Nelson over my North A cousin. I'm not going to say his name either, but that was how close the alliance was. And I ultimately ended up in DVI in 89, Gladiator School. I'll put up pictures later of me looking kind of out of place, you might say, in DVI with the Crips. You can imagine, I got pictures, and looking back now, you could tell that it was odd. People weren't used to seeing that. You can imagine how many fights I had with Southsiders and North A's over me being a Crip. So let me take you to 2010. In 2008, I was arrested for real estate fraud. It started out as a federal case. I stayed at the Sacramento County Jail almost over 2 years fighting it, and ultimately the federal government could give me, I think, 36 or 37 months on the real estate charges I was charged with. I was already in the county jail 24 months, so they knew that I had a long state prison record. So what they did was they dismissed the charges in the feds, knowing the state was going to pick it up, and I had one strike, still got one strike. So whatever the state convicted me on, they could double up and give me 80%. Well, ultimately, I took it to trial. First trial, well, not the first trial. I went to a trial in Washington with the bank robberies. But this was my first trial in California. And the reason why I took it to trial, I usually take the deal immediately, get on that bus, go to the branch, go right back to prison, and that was my home. Our reception center was TRACY, DVI. And it softened up over the years. It wasn't Gladiator School no more. It still held that name, but it wasn't the same as what it was in the 80s. So I go to trial. I get banged on 15 counts of real estate fraud. 13 counts of real estate fraud. Check fraud, real estate fraud, forgery. And I've got caught with guns, assaults, a lot of drug cases, sales cases, and I always got 5 years, 8 months, 3 years, 6 months. I always got between 16 months and 5 years, 8 months from 1989 all the way up until 2008. I never got over 6 years. So I was in and out on new cases. I didn't stay out longer than a year. I had an E number. So in 2008, when I got arrested, in 2010, I took it to trial and lost. They offered me a 10-year deal on this case. The state did. I didn't take it. Me and my wife were funking at the time. I felt she was going to divorce me if I got a whole bunch of time. I wanted to beat the case. I wasn't going to take a 10-year deal and have to go do 8. I knew it'd be over with. So I rolled the dice and I went to trial and got convicted of every charge that I was charged with. I go to sentencing and they banged me with 15 years, 8 months, state prison, 80% because I had a strike. Like I said, I never had no real long sentences before. I was always in and out, in and out. But to me, in 2010, I was 38 years old, or 39, and it just seemed like an eternity to me. So immediately before I get sentenced, I get the divorce papers. I'm in the hole in the Sacramento County Jail for a knife. And before I get sentenced, I get the divorce papers. So my state of mind, imagine 15 years, 8 months, wife just divorced me, son's 9 years old. I'm going to be gone for probably 15, 16, 17 years. I'm going to catch time when I'm in there. I'm going to level 4 because of my points. I know that. I paroled from level 4, so I'm probably going right back. So my mentality was gangbang mode. 129% gangbang mode. I was no nonsense. So I hit DVI. And I did a lot of time on DVI's main lines. So a lot of COs knew who I was. I was in a lot of incidences there in the 90s, in the 2000s. A lot of incidents. I was in K-Wing a lot, which is the hole. So when I get to DVI with this 15-year, 8-month sentence, they send me to East Hall, which is reception. In 2010, the majority of DVI was reception center. I think Z-Dorm, they called the zoo, maybe D-Wing, a couple wings was mainline, but the majority was reception center. Now, at this time, I haven't been in the California prison system for, I think, 6 years, but I was in Washington, the state of Washington, Seattle system for a couple years. So I've been out of the loop when I got there in 2010. There was some old time COs there. They immediately seen my number, seen my name in R&R when I get to East Hall. My first day there, CO comes up, he's like, "Hey dog, you want to be a runner?" Now, I don't know if anybody been on the reception center side. You're usually there for 2 to 4 months until they process you, your counselor sees you, they evaluate you, see what mainline you're going to. So I knew I was going to be there for 2 to 4 months. You're in the cell sometimes 2 or 3 days at a time. You don't come out. Sometimes they shower you, sometimes they don't. It's hot as hell in the summertime. All the windows are broke. So you want to be out of your cell. Now, they have a northerner runner. They're called tier tenders. You got a northerner tier tender, a blood tier tender, a Bay Area tier tender, a Crip tier tender, a other tier tender, a white tier tender. So they have tier tenders for every race, and they kind of keep it where each car has their own. So I immediately take the Crip tier tender job when I get there, first day there. Okay, so the second day when I'm out, I see a northerner from my neighborhood, and he's also the tier tender, and he has security for his people on the tier. He's running the tier for the Nortes, let's just say. He got the keys. He's from not my neighborhood, Garden Block, but he's from the Gardens. So me and him been knowing each other since we were little. We've been in the dope game together. We worked together on the street. We worked together in prison at Solano in 2003. So I know this dude. So I'm there probably 3 months, 90 days. And a black guy comes in from the Bay Area. I'm not going to say his name. He was stabbed. Ultimately, he was stabbed. And the guy I known from Sacramento, the Norte, came. I was washing some mops out. He came to the shower. He was like, "Hey, dog. Hey, there's gonna be a problem tomorrow. Me and you ain't gonna come out. We're gonna send this cat out from Merced, and you send your celly out to do the work." I'm like, negative. That's not gonna happen. If there's gonna be a problem, I'm gonna be held accountable. He's like, okay. He said, fine. I'm trying to tell you it's gonna be a problem. He didn't tell me with who. He just told me it's gonna be a problem. Nortenos keep everything under the hat, close to the chest. They don't really tell their business to other races. And likewise, we don't go tell other races or other cars what we're about to do, especially if we're about to do it to one of them. So this was expected, but a lot of people seen how close I was to this dude and how much we were together every day. And when you're in a cell 24 hours a day at your door looking out the window, you're very observant. So you figure 3 tiers high of blacks, whites, Mexicans, and others in these cells at their door all day calling your name. Dog, hey, can you take this over here? Dog, hey, what's his name? Say, hey, dog, can you get this tobacco from over here? Can you take this deodorant? So all day long, everyone's at their door observing my actions, their runners' actions. So we're being observed, and you have to take note of that you're being watched. You ain't worried about the COs. They let you run and do whatever you want to do. They're not concerned about drugs. They're not concerned about anything. As long as you take care of your own household and it's a smooth program, they let you do what you want. You have to worry about your people watching you and don't slip up and make mistakes. Okay, so after this individual told me this, it was morning time. So at chow time, he came and told me, hey dog, forget about what I told you. It's squashed. Nothing's gonna happen tomorrow. I'm like, all right. At the time, my cellie was from Marysville, Northern Crip, and he was seasoned. He wasn't as old as me, but he'd been around a while, and he was a solid cat. So the next morning, they ring the bell for chow. And when they ring the bell for chow, we're already out. The workers are already out getting our disinfectant in the bottles to give to our people so they can clean the cells, getting the brooms, getting the garbage cans set up so when they come out the chow hall, they dump their trays, getting the lunches set up so someone can hand them their lunch coming out of the chow hall. I believe it was August 3rd, 2010. I might have the date mixed up, but I don't think so. I think this was August, and a lot of people was there that's watching this channel. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it was August 3rd, maybe August 4th. I know it was a Thursday, and everything seemed normal. Me and the cat that I knew. Oh, one more thing. There was 2 northerner runners, one from Merced and my boy from Sacramento, and I got close to the guy from Merced because him and my dude was working together. They had the keys to this building and West Hall. West Hall and East Hall are next door to each other, and they're both reception center side. The dude from Merced came over from West Hall to work with the guy I knew. So we're all out there with the Kumbi cat. Kumbi's a 415 Bay Area, and we're in a white dude, and we're all filling up containers of disinfectant. So when they come back from chow, we can hand it to our people so they can clean their cells. They give them 5 or 10 minutes to clean their cells out, wipe everything down. So that's what we're doing. So the doors open on the 3rd tier on one side. So they come down the stairway, they go in the chow hall. Now, they can't feed every tier. Yeah, they can. I take that back. They could feed one side of the building, 3rd tier, 2nd tier, 1st tier, in one movement. Then that side locks up and they feed the other side, starting at the 3rd tier, 2nd tier, 1st tier. The chow hall is actually in East Hall. So at the bottom of the staircase, you make a left into the chow hall. If you're looking in the chow hall, out of the chow hall window, you're looking directly at the showers. And we're in front of the showers, and we're filling this disinfectant. I'm talking to the Kumbi cat, the cat from Merced, the North Bay. He's over there talking to us. 3rd tier goes in the chow hall. They go to the back of the chow. 2nd tier comes in. Then while the 1st tier is coming in, we supposed to go, if we want, go in there and get our tray, and then sit down and eat, and then we come back out and we continue doing what we're doing. So while the 2nd tier is sitting down, the 1st tier is coming out. There was a Norteno 2 doors down from me. I live on the 2nd tier in 212, and in 214 it was a Norte from the Bay Area there that was very animated. He was a light-skinned cat. I know his name. I'm not gonna say it. And I was cordial with him. He was cool, but he was really hyped up. He wasn't a regular Norteno. I mean, he was a Norteno, but he carried himself more. I don't know. To me, the Northerners from Sac, they all got a swag about themselves. The Northerners from the Bay Area definitely have a swag, more of a player kind of swag to them. But then you get to Stockton, Merced, Modesto, TRACY, Lodi. They have more of a gang bang mentality, like a more hard look, more serious. The Bay Nortenos, they're serious. Sac Nortenos, they're serious, but they got a swag to them that the Central Valley don't have. This cat in 214, he was from the Bay Area. He was from Oakland, I believe 18th Street in Oakland. And I watched him walk in the chow hall. So I go in, I get my tray. Now us as workers, we don't have to line up in the line and go sit. You have to sit with whoever you're in line with. You can't just go in the chow hall and sit wherever you want unless you're a worker. Now, these cats, whoever they're in line with, they have to go sit with whoever they're in line with. And the Northerners are usually spread out, 3 or 4 here. There's a couple whites, a couple blacks, and 3 or 4 back there. This morning, all the Northerners waited at the bottom of the staircase, and I noticed it. I took notice to this. They was all at the bottom of the staircase, and they let their whole car from the first tier get together, and they all was in the line. I told you, I just got 15 years, 8 months. My wife just left me. Also, I got some papers in the mail saying she wanted to change my 9-year-old son. He was named after me. She wanted to change his first name. And so I was going through it. I seen this. I didn't see no light at the end of the rainbow at this time. This is 2010. So my mentality was smash, smash, smash. And I'm directing all my homies. I'm the oldest one there at this time. Well, me and another cat from Stockton as far as Northern Crips concerned. And anyone knows DVI, our reception center, the majority of people there, the Bay Area usually goes to San Quentin for their reception. But Sacramento, Stockton, Modesto, TRACY, we all go to DVI for reception. So you got a lot of Northern Crips there. You got a lot of Bloods from Oak Park there too. Del Paso Heights, there's a lot of Bloods from Northern California. But there's a lot of Northern Crips there, and there's a lot of Nortenos there. White boys from Cocoa come there. White boys from everywhere come there. They're thick too. And matter of fact, when I got there 3 months before, the Northerners and the skinheads just got off lockdown because they just had a riot, 2 riots. I don't want to get into that on this segment. I'll get into that later on another segment. So I took heed, and it made me think about what my boy told me the day before, that for me and him to stay in the cell because there was something about to happen today. Now I see. I know something's about to happen. So soon as I see that, I go into chow hall and I find my cellie, the one from Marysville. He's a few years younger than me. I'm going to interview him on here. As a matter of fact, he's out now. I'm in contact with him. I'm going to interview him hopefully within a week or two, and let him tell you how it went. His take on this. Me and him talked about it after this was done. So I go get him, and I pull him to the side, and me and him go sit at a table with a Jama cat and a white dude. We was all at one table. There's 4 people at a table. And what happens next really didn't surprise me, but it caught me off guard, not in a aspect where I was totally off guard because of what I heard before. And I told my cellie what the cat from Sacramento told me the day before. I told him that night when I locked up what he had told me. And he's like, you know, that's your boy. And I'm like, yeah. Now, let me tell you something about me. I'm Portuguese, Mexican, Spanish, and white. I got a little bit of white in me. So all of my family members, from cousins to nephews to uncles, or Nortenos, from back in the day Nortenos. I'm not going to get into their status, but when I say back in the day Nortenos, they was in Quentin back in the day in the 70s. My cousins, not going to say their names, they're all active Nortenos. So I know how this faction works from a little kid. I was around it all my life. I'm the only one in my family that was a Crip, that grew up as a first generation 29th Street Crip. And when I first went to YA and when I first went to prison in '89, I had a lot of fights over this. And then after your name's known, they leave you alone after a few years of fighting everyone and stabbing, and you just get a name for yourself, and then you're left alone. So, that being said, the guy that I told you was 2 cells down from me, he went up behind this black cat and sliced him from here all the way to the back of his neck, and his shit just opened up and it went up. Blacks and Mexicans in the chow hall. It was so bloody and violent. When the police ran down there and they looked in there, they shut the door. The 2 police that were in there serving, watching breakfast, they ran out. They left us in there, I don't know how long, but when it was all said and done, the one northerner dude that sliced this cat's neck, he had to have been on something. This cat was running from... Now, the chow hall split in 2. There's a door, and there's the front chow hall and the back chow hall. There's seats on this side of the window and this side. This dude ran from this side of the... After he did it on the side where he just came in, you got to go down and get your tray at the front of the chow hall. Then you go around and you seat yourself at the back of the chow hall. Then you fill the chow hall. All them seats in the back chow hall was filled up to the front of the chow hall. Now I'm sitting at the last table with my cellie and the Jama cat and the white boy by the door. I see it clearly. I'm watching them. I'm not even eating. I'm watching them. So when he slices dude immediately turns around and fires. I don't even think he knows he's hit, but blood just gushed. It was just like his every heartbeat, it just was psh, 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 and he was losing blood fast. But he was fighting, started fighting with the cat that sliced him, but ended up fighting 2 more northerners. So we jumped up, we go in the front of the chow hall where it's packed. They're fighting in there, but the guy that initially hit the black dude, he was running back and forth from chow hall to chow hall, and he had a tomahawk. A tomahawk is a toothbrush, something that's kind of hard, 2 or 2 toothbrushes with 2 or 3, maybe 4 razor blades melted into it and then tied on, so it looks like a tomahawk, and it's very sharp, and it's a weapon of Norteño's choice back then. In the 80s and 90s, I never seen tomahawks until the 2000s. In the 90s, all I seen was bone crushers, metal, fence metal, locker metal. I never seen tomahawks until like maybe 99, 2000. So after the dropout situation occurred and all these cats were going S&Y, the active northerners, they would make tomahawks and they would make puto marks on dropouts on the street in the pen. So if you ever see someone walking around with a slash on their face, they're most likely a dropout Norteño, because active Norteños, that's what they do. They slice, they put a mark so you can recognize a dropout. I don't want to get into all that. That's just a little information for you guys. None of my family members have those marks on them. So this riot happens, and I felt betrayed because after it was said and done, the black dude, they separated us. They took us. They actually took us to the infirmary yard. Anyone knows DVI in front of West and East Hall? There's an infirmary yard and there's a fence between it, and they put there's no barbed wire on this fence. The fence separating the 2 yards. They put the northerners on one yard and all the blacks on the other yard. And then they took us all to the chow hall. Okay. This is where it went bad for me. They took all the blacks in the chow hall. They took all the northerners in another chow hall. Remember at the beginning of my video, I said that while you're out there being a tier tender or runner, whatever you want to call it, that your people watch you. and you can't make mistakes. Well, I had a I don't give a fuck attitude when I first went to prison on this term. So I didn't care really about anything. I felt I had enough experience in prison. I felt I had enough status as who I was. I didn't have to prove myself anymore to anybody. I've been to enough prison yards, level 4 yards, that people knew who I was. And when you say my name, 29th Street Dog or Dog from 29th Street, people that never met me knew my name throughout California prison system. So I felt that I just didn't give a fuck about my actions on this tier. I should have, though. Let me tell you guys something. So I got 28 years in the system. I've never been stabbed. I've been shot by the block gun. Never been stabbed in prison. That says a lot. Never been to S&Y yard. Never been to a PC. Never rolled it up. So beings that I'm not actually black in color and being on mainline level 4 yards, never rolling it up, never going to S&Y, never been stabbed, that says a lot about who I am. Think about it. A lot of people on here that's G's, you guys can relate to what I'm saying. You guys know what I'm talking about. When I started going to prison, there was no white Crips, no white Bloods, no Mexican Crips, no Mexican Bloods. Period. I believe I was the first one. Then Rob Dog from Stockton, Super Cuz, I think his channel, Super Cuz, Instagram channel anyway. I don't know if he has a YouTube channel. I met him in 93 in DVI. And he was a down white boy. He's from East Coast Crip, Stockton. But before him and before a cat named Goldie, there wasn't none. So it was a new thing for whites and Mexicans to see me up under a black umbrella, up under a black gang. That was new. There was Samoans, of course, Samoan Crips, Asian Crips and Bloods. But when Asians get to prison, they don't fall up under a Crip blanket. If you're an Asian Crip on the street, they fall up under the other car. The others aren't having it. So back to the riot. They separate us. They take us into the chow hall. Now, it's just not, it's all blacks in the chow hall. You got Jama cats. Jama's BGF. You got Jama cats. You got Kumi cats. You got Bloods. You got Crips. You got every black faction in this chow hall on one side of this building. And they was watching me. Why was they watching me? Because I was their runner. I was responsible for their everyday activities. If they needed something, they would call dog all day long. Dog this, dog that. Come here, take this magazine over here. Go get this tobacco from such as. Take this kite over here. Can you take this canteen? All day long. That's what I did. That's what I was supposed to do. I don't know if it's because my family members were Nortenos or I always had a lot of love for Northerners. Their get down, their resume. Their whole program was different than anybody else's. In the yards I was at, I was down south in level 4 prisons. They're always short in numbers, and they handle their business just like the Northern Crips. We're always short in numbers on main lines, but you ain't gonna find one Northern Crip or one active Northeno that's a punk. You're just not, because we're so short in numbers. If there's an adversary, if there's someone that we feel threatened, we take off first, and that's just how it is. If you don't do that, you're labeled PC. You're getting rolled up, and that's just how life is in prison. Level 4 yards. Level 3, same thing, just not there's not as much weaponry involved on level 3s. Like I could have fist fights on level 3. I had a gang of them. Fist fights in the cell, on the yard, in the chow hall, in the day room. But on a 180 level 4 yard, you're not fist fighting, and there's gonna be some repercussions. It's hands off. It's all weaponry. Now I have seen fist fights on a level 4 with blacks. I seen blacks take off on different races with their fists and end up getting stabbed, because it's a no-no. It's a known, not written law that when you hit a level 4 yard 180, the first thing, even before your property, you're gonna get you a banger. You're gonna get you a shank. You're gonna get you a fieto. You're gonna get you something to protect yourself with. Usually when you walk into a cell, your cell, you already got one waiting for you, and they hand it to you, and you know what to do with it. Usually you hoop it, put it in your ass. A lot of people don't understand that, but there's not one person on a 180 yard that don't do that. So you women watching, your man's putting something in their ass. I know that sounds kind of gay, but that's our safe in prison. Our asshole is our safe, and you train your bowels to hold stuff, because that's the only place the police can't go. They can take you to an x-ray machine if they want to. They can put you on potty watch, but that costs money. I guarantee you, every seasoned CO on a level 4 yard know 100% of inmates walking around that yard have something in their ass. That's just facts. It's facts, and everyone knows this. The community knows it. My wife found out the hard way. I'll tell you about that story later on. So we're in this chow hall after this riot, and my adversaries on the street, Bloods, specifically Oak Park Bloods. Not now, I'm a grown man. I'm from 29th Street, Garden Block, Crip. But I'm a grown man now. I'm not living the gang life out here. I didn't drop out, but I'm not around my homies. I'm doing my family thing. So when someone asks you, are you active, and you say no, for Northerners and Southerners and white boys, that means you're a dropout. When I say I'm not an active gang member, I never dropped out. I just don't function on the streets as a gang member anymore. I went to prison too many times and fell up under that. Gang banging on the street, it's not cool. Gang banging is not cool. Your gang is what are you getting from them? They're not going to be there for you when you go to prison. They're going to use you. You're not going to get packages from them. You're not going to get money from them. You're going to pay them. That's what gangs is about. Whoever has the head of the gang, they're benefiting the most. If you're not at the top of the totem pole, why are you in a gang? I stand on my own 2 feet out here. Now, after years of people that love me telling me what it was, I wasn't listening. Now, I'm a grown-ass man. I do what I want. I have no repercussions. I still talk to people in my gang. Not all of them, but a lot of them. So, we're in this chow hall, and because I'm a Crip from Sacramento, there's some of my enemies, youngsters, in this chow hall. And I'm not going to name the gang from Oak Park because there's new little branches of it. But somebody in this I don't want to disrespect nobody, but somebody, I call them new wave gangbangers, didn't like the way that I was handling my job on the tier. And he voiced that in this chow hall. Now, there's no police in this chow hall, okay? There's not a police in this chow hall. We're all in there. They're doing their investigation to see what happened. They're taking people to the hospital that got hurt. And a lot of blacks did get hurt. I'm not going to lie about this riot. The blacks weren't prepared. So 4 or 5 of them got sliced. But Nortenos got hurt also. Not cuts by knives, but got banged in the face with trays, canes. It was on. It was a full-fledged riot in a little chow hall with 150 to 200 people in there. So you could imagine, and it went on for more than 5 minutes. That's a long riot in a closed-in quarters. It was people hurt, and this is the beginning of my sentence, you guys. I don't give a fuck. You got to remember that. I told you guys that for a reason. Out of 15-year, 8-month sentence, and I'm telling you how long my sentence was for a reason. Because if you can imagine going from, I was in the music industry back in the day. Me and my brother T. He started AWOL Records when I was in prison, and I come from a generation of not using drugs, getting money. That was our generation. We was the get money guys. Specifically me, from my neighborhood, that's what I was known for, getting money. Being as if it was for anything and everything. When I came home in 1991, 92, he started AWOL Records. And so I went from, the reason why I'm telling you that is because I went from living a good-ass lifestyle, used to good-ass food, nice cars. My wife had bought a home when I was doing a violation. So I had everything. I had a new son. Not new, I had a 9-year-old son. And so I had a chip on my shoulder. I didn't have nothing to prove because I've been around a long time, but I felt anger inside because I lost everything by my stupidity. And I'll give you the story later on of how I ended up in this situation with this 15-year sentence. What I was in there for didn't really call for a 15-year sentence. If I was to do what I did then, now I would get 2 years, maybe a year county jail time, because the laws changed. So, one of my adversaries from Oak Park, they was having a meeting while we was in this shower. We was in the shower for like 3 hours. And I'm over here with the Jama car and Marcelli and about a handful of Northern Crips. And we're over there chopping it up. And they sent a youngster over there to me. Now, mind you, he walks up and there's 18, 19, maybe 20 of us at 3 tables sitting there talking. They're over there having their little conversation. We ain't paying attention to them, but I see this Damu walking up to our area where we're sitting in this chow hall. And he's like, "Hey, dog, the homies want to holler at you over here." I'm like, "The homies? Your homies want to holler at me?" He's like, "Yeah." Now, in prison, because you have a enemy on the street, an adversary, you don't bring that over to prison. Bloods and Crips sometimes get into it in prison over money, over women, over anything, phones, tobacco. But for the most part, blacks stay together when it comes to a different race. So I want to make that clear. So when this youngster comes up, mind you, I had a 15-year, 8-month sentence. He said, "My homies want to holler at you." I immediately jump up, start walking over there fast, like I had a chip on my shoulder. In hindsight, I shouldn't have went over there aggressive like that. I didn't know it. My cellie was right behind me. 3 Jama cats, BGF cats was behind me, and these are cats I've been knowing since the late 80s, 90s. The Jama cats. I'm not going to say their names. They're reputable. They've been around a long time. 2 of them had life and had got out and came back on new beefs, and the other one was they was a little bit older than me at the time. They was in their late 40s. So I smashed over there not knowing I got the 18 cats that I was sitting with right behind me. So when I get over there, this one cat jumps up on the table. And he's like, attention everybody, attention everybody. And it caught me off guard because the youngster told me that his homies wanted to holler at me, but this cat jumped up on the table. I don't even know who this cat was. Later come to find out he was from Oak Park. He wanted all the blacks to come around. And I guess what they were doing while we was over there talking, they were over there holding a meeting about me. And I guess this meeting consisted of the Bloods thinking that because I was working together with the Nortenos on the tier, and I was always around them, talking to them, and sometimes I got tired and wouldn't go to a black store when they called me because I was running all day, that I navigated towards the Nortenos more than the blacks, and that I knew that the Northerners were going to take off on the blacks, and I didn't notify no blacks. That was their scenario. Where they got that from, I don't know, but if you think about it, they was right, because I kind of did know. But later on that evening, after the homie, the Northerner, told me to stay in the cell, I told him no. He came back and told me, dog, it was squashed. So in my mind, I got a lot going on in my mind. Like I said, I got a long sentence, not long compared to other people, but in my mind, this was the longest sentence I ever had. 15 years, 8 months with 80%. I was going to do it all. I know me. I was going to do 15 years, 8 months, if not more. And if I'm not mistaken, let me see, 2010, this is 2022, that was 12 years ago. I was 41. I wasn't 39, I was 40. I'm 53 now. So I was 41 with a 15-year, 8-month sentence. So that means I wasn't getting out of jail till I was 56. 57 maybe. I'm 53 and I've been out 4 years, and I'll tell you how that happened. The laws changed. Prop 47 and SB 109 kicked in, and that's how I got out and got some time knocked off my sentence. Or I'd still be in there, be just getting out. So look, the guy that jumped on the table, yeah, this tastes good. The guy that jumped on the table, he was in his early 30s. And I guess while we was over there talking, they was going around networking to every black sanction, every car except us. And they took a vote. And they took a vote to vote me out of the job that I got hired to do my first day there at DVI on the reception. So this guy got up on the table and he was like, look, homie. He looked me in my eyes. He said, everybody in here agrees that you should resign your job and give it to such and such. It's not open for debate or discussion, but as a whole, we agree that you aren't doing your job correctly, and we're in there calling your name, kicking the door, and you're not coming to our cells. You're over there at the Northerners' door. You're assisting them more than us. He was right. I wasn't having it, though. He was right. Now looking back, I would have pushed the same thing if I was in the cell and a black in my position did the same thing that I was doing, but I didn't give a fuck, and I should have. So he's telling me this, and the more he's talking, the more angry I'm getting. I've never been one to be pushed around, or I always went against the grain. Always, all my life since I was little, I rebelled against teachers. I was a rebellious soul. And sometimes rebellious things get you in trouble. But when I first got to DVI, I got a 9-inch piece of you know, the fences, the metal fences, the cyclone fences. I got a 9-inch piece of metal, and I put a handle on it and sharpened it. And I had this all the time, even during this riot. But it wasn't out. It was put up. So while he was talking, my mind was thinking about stabbing this cat. I didn't care what he was saying about everyone in here agrees that I should resign from the job. Oh, and mind you, I haven't even seen my counselor yet. So I was going to be there a couple more months anyway. So when he said this, I was getting more upset and more upset. A Jama cat behind me stood up. He was like, "Dog's not going nowhere." Then a couple of the guys, almost everyone over there voiced their opinion. So now it's not just me, but I got a little army behind me. But there's still over 100, at least 100 black cats in this chow hall, and I got 17, 18 behind me. And he's telling me that they already discussed this, and for me to step down. Looking at it from being out every day, running around doing what I want, controlling the drugs, the tobacco. I had action. Anybody that came in the building, I would see first. And if they had tobacco, drugs, whatever, and I was the runner, I get a cut of that. I get a cut of everything any black brought in there. I would get a cut because they would need me to transport it for them. And I'm charging. Not much, but I'm charging. I got 30 deodorants, 30. I got a lot of time, so I'm stacking up on my hygiene. I'm going to the store, the maximum amount every month. So I had a lot of shit in my cell, which I could have went and sat down in the cell. But being out all day, I couldn't see myself in the cell. So what I did was, instead of these, I used this. He said, the guy on the table, and he's much younger than me. He said, "So we need to know by the time we go back what your plans are, dog. What are you gonna do? You gonna fight this, or you gonna fall in line with it? You gonna quit or what? But we're gonna let you go back to doing what you're doing. But before we all go back, you need to address us." I don't say anything. I walk away back to where I was sitting, and the one Jama cat that I've been knowing since '91, he reaches in his jacket. He already shit his shit out, and he handed me this thing. He said, "Come on, man, let's go address this." I'm like, "I don't need that. I have one." What happened was, why that dude was talking over there, a lot of people, I didn't notice, but the guys will be noticed, they were shaking their head like this. Like they wasn't agreeing with what this one cat was saying. So 4 or 5 of them broke off from where we were sitting, and they went to go network. They went to go talk to people. And come to find out, it was only Oak Park and another faction that didn't want me to be a runner no more. So by the time, okay, let me tell you something. So when there's a riot, the police don't move you all together at one back to the cells. They take you 5 or 10 at a time. So when the door opened up and 2 COs said, "You guys are going back to your cells," they took, I think, 8. So we knew we was going back when they took the first 8. We got like 5 to 10 minutes before they come back and get the next 8. So during that time, everybody that still wanted me to work, to do the job, was on my side of this chow hall. And we outnumbered. We looked over there, and the cat that was talking had about 30, 35 people over there, and they went like this, what's up? Like, what's your answer? And the Jama Cats was like, he ain't going nowhere. So now I knew that I had an army behind me. I'm liked. I'm a cool dude. I'm not with no bullshit when I'm in prison. I shoot from the hip. I'm a stand-up guy. Northerners, I assist them all my life, and I wasn't going to stop now. Any older veteranos that know me from the Norte, they know that I've always assisted them. They're always on lockdown, and we're not. So I assist them with packages, food. I always have. That's just who I am. I grew up with these dudes, and I got a good name with them. So I wasn't going nowhere. So what happened was, it made me mad that this one cat from this one faction, this one gang that all my life been my enemies, is got up there and lied and said this whole collective voted me out of this job. I got animosity now, and I don't supposed to, because he's a brother. So what happens is, a homeboy from, I'm still working, we go back, business as usual. I'm still out there running. I'm getting these looks. These cats ain't even calling me to the door to pass shit. They're making lines and fishing their shit now. They're not not all the Damus, but a lot of them didn't even look at me. They didn't talk to me. They didn't call me to their doors. But a lot of them did too. So what happened was, one of my homies from my neighborhood, he's a little bit younger than me. He comes in my building, and I immediately get him a job in the kitchen. His first day there, he had a parole violation. Not gonna say his name either. Not here to salt nobody up. My channel is based on saving our youth from having to go through what I'm talking about. We don't want to see our kids, our grandkids, our nephews and nieces going to prison. We want to keep them out of this. So the whole reason why I made this channel, I've been seeing all these channels talk about all this prison stuff, but my channel is geared towards kind of like the old Scare Straight program. I wish I would have had the Scare Straight program, but as a youngster, I used to watch prison movies, and I wanted to be there. I want to see what that's like. I want to go to prison. I want to, from a young age, from like 5th grade, I watched prison movies, and I wanted to see what prison was like. Thought I was the baddest dude on earth. Could fight hella good. That's what I thought. Couldn't find out when I went to prison, I was like, this is what this shit is? This is some bullshit. And I want to keep our youth, our kids, away from having to endure the things that me and a lot of my viewers had went through in prison. I'm not trying to glamorize this shit. I'm not trying to be no Billy badass that I could beat everyone up in the world. I stabbed a whole bunch of people. That's not the case. I was always a D-boy. But when I went to prison, I got a good name. I always had a good name. I got one blemish on my record, and I'll get into that this time when I paroled in 2018, and it wasn't even a blemish. I'll tell you the story about CMC. Worst. They say it's the candy land of prisons. It's the worst prison I've ever been to. So, business as usual. My friend comes in from my neighborhood. I've been knowing all my life since we was young bucks. He comes in. Now, this certain individual, when he was 15 years old, caught a murder case against the same gang that stood on that table and tried to vote me out of my job. He killed their big homeboy back in 84 or 85, and he went to juvenile, then he went to CYA. Not gonna say no names. Everyone that knows me knows who these two individuals are. There's two of them. But this one came in. And for some reason, I didn't know that the guy he killed from that neighborhood, his little homie named after him, was on the bottom tier. Mind you, I already got animosity towards these dudes. They try to vote me out of my job. I've been funking with these dudes since 1983, 1984. So it's on. It is what it is. I'm from a Crip set. My homie's from a Crip set. You guys from a Blood set. And that's just what it is. There's no sugarcoating nothing. So when this individual from the other side, not my gang, that we got animosity with all our life, sees my homeboy come in and he's working in the kitchen and he just got there and he killed your big homeboy, he puts a plan in effect. And his plan was weak. It didn't work. And here it is. In prison, in California prison, as far as Northern California is concerned, Oak Park Bloods are the strongest up north blood gang in California prison system. I'm going to get a lot of comments on this. 29th Street Crips were the first Crip neighborhood in Northern California. Did you hear that? Oak Park Bloods are the strongest Northern California blood gang in California prisons. 29th Street Crips are the first Crip set in Northern California. So there's a lot of history here. A lot of people from these little towns that don't have big gangs, little neighborhoods, Yuba City, Marysville, Santa Rosa, they want to be something they're not. So this cat from Oak Park, that his big homie got killed by my homie that just got there, he finds somebody, or he knows somebody that wants to claim Oak Park Bloods. And this dude's a blood from another city, a little town. But he knows Oak Park is strong in numbers and none of them are punks, and he wants to be a part of that. Oak Park Blood, Oak Park Pyru, whatever they, Oak Park Blood. He wants to be a part of that. Well, in order to be a part of that, you have to put in some work. So this cat from Oak Park, he's in there and he's playing like he's deaf. He's sign language into the COs. He's trying to get the Vacaville because he don't want to go nowhere. He don't want to go to level 4. So if you're deaf, they send you to a medical facility. So he's in there and he's acting like he's deaf and he can't talk. I know better. When I get wind that he's there, I know who he is. I'm out on the chair. I go to his cell. I call him by his first name. I'm like, "What's up, homie? What's going on with you and my homie such?" He's like, "Oh, nothing, dog. You know, that was in the 80s, man. I ain't tripping on that." Okay. Walk away, go tell my homie, you know, they ain't got no problem. That wasn't the case. They got a black dude from, I'm going to say Yuba City, that wanted to be from Oak Park. And what they did was they told this brother, if he stabbed my homie, he's put on Oak Park. He'll be Oak Park Blood. This dude wasn't even from Sacramento. He was a tall dude with dreads. He was dusty looking. His shoes had holes in them. He was broke. He was just a dusty ass dude that these Oak Park cats used to their advantage. So me and my homie, all the Northern Crips are on one side of the yard, either working out or playing basketball. We're over there at the first part of the yard. Mind you, when the yard recalls, when it's time to go in from the yard, every building lines up in a line in front of a handball court, and the handball court has your building number on top of the handball court. So there's there's at least 1,000 people from 2 buildings out there, maybe 3 buildings, and they're lined up. So the Oak Park cat told this dude, stabbed this dude, he killed the big homie, and if you want to be from Oak Park, you got to stab him. So we're lined up to go in. We've been out there for like 2 hours. Mind you, one of my co-defendants on the case in 93 is from Oak Park. My play brother is in Z-Dorm, the main line. I'm working with him on making money. So Z-Dorm has this gate, garage, that it rolls up in the summertime, and it has a grate in front of it. If you're on the reception side, you could go to this fence and you could talk to who's on the main line through this grate in Z-Dorm. And we're about 3 feet away from each other. Me, my play brother, and this other cat from Oak Park caught a case in 1993 together. So I've been knowing this Oak Park, not the Oak Park cat that put this shit together, this whole other Oak Park cat, and he's younger than us. So what happens is, me and my homie, the one that killed the Oak Park cat back in the 80s, we're walking the yard by ourselves. And I see the dude that was my co-defendant from Oak Park standing by himself in front of the basketball court. But this side of the basketball court where my play brother was in Z-Dorm. And he calls me over there. My dude from my neighborhood says, I'm gonna go shoot some hoops, dog. So this cat calls me over there, and we go to the grill gate to talk to my brother, because we all 3 was on the case together. So we're over there chopping it up. Little did I know, my homie is walking into a trap. I got 15 years, 8 months. Remember that. My cat, my dude from my neighborhood, he got a violation. He's going to be out in a matter of months. I got 15 years, 8 months to do. So he's over there, and I'm watching him. He shoots the ball up. When he shoots the ball up, there's 4 Oak Park cats on the fence line by the basketball court. They're not playing. My homie's the only one on the basketball court shooting the ball. The ball was sitting on the side. He went and picked it up and started shooting. He sees these 4 Oak Park cats. I know he does. We're always aware of where our enemies are in the yard. Everybody is. We take a head count. We know who our enemies are, how many of them are in the yard. So he sees these cats. When he shoots the ball up, this cat with dreads, the dusty looking one, my homie's kind of tall. I'm 5'10", about 210 then. My homie's like 6 foot, 6'1", probably like 220. This cat is like 6'2", 6'3", the one that runs towards him, about 165, skinny, but he's lanky. He goes over there and squares up, and my homie gives him the business. Bing, 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 bing. They're going heads up, but the skinny cat can't fuck with them. My homie grabs him. By then, I start to run over there, and my co-defendant, the other Oak Park cat, grabs my arm. He said, dog, that ain't your business. That's my homie. You got 3 homies over there with him. What you mean that ain't my business? This cat I've been knowing all my life, I went to go fire, and my brother's like, no. I start running over there. By the time, it's probably it's probably a football field from where I'm at to where my homie's out on the basketball court fighting this dude. I don't hear no alarms. I don't hear nothing. So by the time I get over there, the other 3 Oak Park dudes, they're sitting down on their butt. My homie just got done squabbling with this dude. So I go run over there to the 3 Oak Park cats, squared up while they're sitting down. And my homie grabs my arm. My homie that just got in a fight. He's like, come on, dog. Let's go over here. I'm like, nigga, you crazy. He's like, look, we got away with it. They don't know. I'm going home in however many months. Come on, let's push over here. That's not sitting right with me. At this time, we had 40 to 50 NCs, Northern Crips, on the yard with us. All in different buildings though. So by the time we get over there to the homies, the Bloods were deep too. But for some reason, our stronghold was West Hall. That's where most of the Northern Crips were. Their stronghold at this time was West Hall. I was in West Hall with more Bloods than Crips. But one of their head dudes, who I was real close to from Oak Park, as close as I could be to someone that's from an adversary gang, I was close. I called this dude my nephew. He was over there with my homies in West Hall, and I was over here with his homies in East Hall. So we communicated. So what happened was, by the time we get over there to the homies and tell them what happened, they all want to go. They want to take off. My homeboy that got in the incident has the last say so because it was his incident. He's like, I don't want to do that. I want to go home. My daughter just got took by CPS, and I got to get out there to get my daughter. What happens is, he says no. So we're lined up in front of our building to go in. And because of my homie getting the best of the Yuba City cat in the fist fight, the dude from Oak Park that his big homie got killed hands him a piece, a shank. Little piece though, it was like 4 inches long with a big old handle. It was a white, it looked like a softball handle, it was so big. So while me and my homies standing there lined up to go in, now these other cats that he got in a fight with, they're in our building. All of them. All 4 of them are in our building. So as we're lined up, I'm facing my homie, and I see the same cat he got in a fight with pushing over towards us fast. Now there's Northerners, white boys, and more brothers between us. I see him and I'm like, whoop. I grab his arm and I call him. I'm like, turn around, nigga. So he turns around and I square up and I get in front of him. I'm like, what's happening? He's like, this ain't for you, dog. And he spun, and my